Inside an INFJ's mind exists a world most people will never see, a place where logic and emotion don't compete, they collide. It's not chaos, it's a quiet storm of analysis, intuition, empathy, and precision, all happening at once. While others think in straight lines, the INFJ's thoughts move in constellations, connecting feelings to facts, memories to meaning, and pain to purpose. This inner universe is vast, sometimes beautiful, sometimes overwhelming. It's where every decision is felt and calculated, where morality wrestles with logic, and where intuition whispers truths the world hasn't yet caught up to. To outsiders, it looks like overthinking. To the INFJ, it's navigation. Every silent pause hides 1,000 internal debates, each filtered through both intellect and empathy, a rare blend that turns emotion into insight and logic into compassion. Because the INFJ doesn't just think, they feel their thoughts. They don't just understand, they absorb. And when these two forces merge, they create something extraordinary, a mind that sees through illusions and a heart that refuses to abandon meaning. If you've ever felt like your emotions and logic are at war, but secretly realize that both are your greatest strengths, this video is for you. Subscribe to Brainy One for more deep explorations into the INFJ psyche. And tell me in the comments, do you think emotion makes logic stronger or harder to follow? The dual operating system, heart and mind in constant dialogue. Inside the INFJ mind, there's a constant dialogue, not between right and wrong, but between heart and mind. It's not a tug of war, it's a sophisticated dance where emotion whispers and logic translates. The heart feels everything first. The tension in a room, the unspoken sadness behind a smile, the subtle energy shift in someone's tone. But before those feelings can overflow, the mind steps in, analyzing, categorizing, asking why. It's as if the INFJ runs on two processors at once, decoding both emotional truth and objective reality in real time. This dual system makes them seem distant at first glance, quiet, observant, almost calculating, but beneath that calm exterior, a rich inner storm unfolds. Logic tells them to let go, to move on, to stay grounded. Emotion counters, reminding them of promises, empathy, and human depth. They're always translating between languages, one of facts, one of feelings. And in that translation, they build a rare kind of wisdom, understanding that truth is rarely pure and purity rarely true. To live this way isn't easy. It's like being both artist and architect, painting with feelings while calculating the angles of impact. They can't just react. They must process. When others see hesitation, what's really happening is integration. Every choice goes through layers of analysis, ethical, emotional, intuitive, until it aligns with something much deeper than logic alone: purpose. This inner dialogue gives INFJs their signature depth. It's why they anticipate conflict before it starts, why they see patterns in human behavior others overlook, and why they often appear older than their years. But it's also what isolates them. Few can understand what it's like to constantly balance empathy with evaluation, to love deeply, yet step back to see the system behind the feeling. In their world, logic doesn't silence emotion, it refines it. And emotion doesn't drown reason, it humanizes it. Together they form the INFJ's hidden superpower, the ability to feel with precision and think with compassion. It's a rare equilibrium, fragile, powerful, and endlessly misunderstood. But when the heart and mind of an INFJ move in harmony, they don't just navigate life, they translate it. The emotional logic loop, feeling to understand, not react. For the INFJ, emotions aren't chaos, they're data. Every feeling that rises within them serves a purpose. Every ache or spark is a signal waiting to be decoded. Unlike most people who feel in order to react, the INFJ feels in order to understand. Their emotional logic loop is a deeply internal process, one that turns instinct into insight. When sadness hits, they don't drown in it. They trace it. When anger flickers, they ask, what truth am I protecting? It's never about the emotion itself. It's about the message it carries. Inside their mind, emotion and logic aren't enemies, they're teammates. The feeling speaks first, raw and unfiltered. Logic follows, calm and deliberate, breaking the emotion into layers until clarity appears. It's as if the INFJ runs each experience through an invisible emotional algorithm, searching for patterns, meaning, and moral coherence. They don't just ask how something happened, they ask why it mattered. This is why their insights cut so deep. They don't analyze from the outside, they live the emotion before dissecting it. To others, this can make them seem slow to respond or too sensitive, but what's really happening is emotional calibration. The INFJ doesn't lash out or shut down. They take time to align response with truth. They know reaction without reflection leads to regret. And so they pause, breathe, and translate feeling into language, one that can heal, connect, or teach. It's emotional intelligence at its highest form, not impulsive empathy, but deliberate understanding. This process can be exhausting. It's heavy to carry so much emotional information and still process it with precision. But this is how INFJs survive, by transforming what overwhelms others into insight that empowers them. Pain becomes philosophy. Discomfort becomes wisdom. Each loop, each emotional decoding refines their awareness until they see not just the behavior, but the blueprint behind it. And when the loop completes, when emotion has been felt, studied, and understood, peace follows, not because the pain vanished, but because it finally made sense. That's the INFJ's secret gift. They don't run from emotion, they translate it into truth. And in that translation, they find their strength. The inner council of voices, intuition, morality, and reason debating in silence. Inside the mind of an INFJ, every decision feels like a quiet council meeting, an internal debate where intuition, morality, and reason all demand to be heard. It's not chaos, it's choreography. Intuition speaks first, subtle, wordless, yet powerful, whispering, "Something's off here," or "This person means well, but not forever." It doesn't argue, it knows. Then morality rises, firm yet compassionate, reminding the INFJ of values, empathy, and fairness. Finally, reason enters, calm and structured, translating those feelings into something practical, something that can survive in the real world. This mental dialogue happens in milliseconds, but it feels eternal. The INFJ rarely makes a choice without passing it through this invisible tribunal. They weigh the emotional cost, the ethical consequence, the intuitive warning, all before saying a single word. That's why they hesitate, why they stare into space before responding. It's not confusion, it's consideration. Every voice inside them has a vote, and the decision must satisfy all three. Sometimes, though, the council divides. Intuition warns them to walk away. Morality pleads for forgiveness. And logic says, wait, what's the evidence? It's a storm beneath the surface, calm on the outside, conflict within. They'll replay conversations, read micro-expressions, and dissect motives long after the moment has passed, not to obsess, but to understand which voice was right. That's why INFJs often seem torn. Their heart and mind aren't at war, they're in negotiation. But when all three voices align, when intuition, morality, and reason agree, the INFJ moves with quiet certainty that feels almost prophetic. They may seem mysterious, but really they're just deeply thorough. This internal counsel gives them an uncanny ability to sense truth before proof, to foresee emotional outcomes before anyone else notices the first sign. Yet this gift comes with weight. Carrying three truths at once, what they feel, what's right, and what's logical, is exhausting. Still, they wouldn't trade it, because when the voices inside reach harmony, the INFJ doesn't just make decisions, they make alignment. And that's what makes their actions so powerful. Every move they make is backed by intuition's wisdom, morality's heart, and reason's clarity, all working together in silence. When overthinking becomes emotional forecasting, people often tell the INFJ to stop overthinking as if their mind were a machine gone rogue. But what most don't understand is that INFJs don't overthink to worry, they overthink to prepare. Their mind is a radar, scanning emotional possibilities long before they unfold. When someone says a simple phrase, the INFJ doesn't just hear the words, they hear the tone, the intent, the pattern beneath it. They replay scenarios, not to torture themselves, but to map out emotional weather forecasts, predicting storms before the clouds even gather. This is why they sense endings before they're spoken, betrayals before they're confessed, and distance long before silence sets in. They notice what others miss, the delayed text, the subtle shift in energy, the faint hesitation that betrays a lie. Their thoughts loop, not because they seek control, but because they seek understanding. They're trying to see all outcomes so they can soften the impact, protect themselves, and sometimes even protect the other person. It's empathy merged with analysis, a powerful but heavy combination. Inside the INFJ's head, overthinking isn't noise, it's architecture. Each possibility becomes a branch on the decision tree of empathy. What will they feel if I say this? What will this choice mean 6 months from now? What wound might this trigger in them? It's a level of foresight that feels like both a superpower and a burden, because while others live moment to moment, the INFJ lives in layers of potential futures, most of which they'll never speak about. But there's beauty in this storm. Their overthinking often becomes wisdom, the kind that leads them to avoid toxic cycles, to comfort someone moments before they break, to make the right call when logic alone would fail. The INFJ's mind doesn't spin, it orbits, collecting meaning from every angle until a pattern emerges. And yes, sometimes it hurts to think this deeply, but this is how they survive the emotional chaos of the world, by forecasting it, by preparing for it, by understanding it before it arrives. Because for the INFJ, overthinking isn't the enemy, it's how they turn intuition into insight and chaos into calm. Empathy filter, turning pain into insight. The INFJ doesn't just feel pain, they study it. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every small betrayal becomes material for understanding human nature. It's not that they enjoy suffering, it's that they refuse to let it be meaningless. Their mind automatically builds patterns out of emotion, tracing invisible connections between what hurts and what it reveals. When something breaks them, they quietly dissect it, not out of cold detachment, but from a desperate need to understand why it happened. Pain, for the INFJ, becomes an internal filter. It doesn't just move through them, it transforms. They notice how grief sharpens perception, how loss deepens empathy, how rejection clarifies what truly matters. It's as if their soul uses pain as raw data, processing it, refining it, and turning it into emotional wisdom. When most people would crumble or numb out, the INFJ leans in, asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" This is what makes them so disarming in conversation. They can look at someone's struggle and without judgment say something that pierces straight through the noise because they've been there. They've walked through the emotional labyrinth enough times to know the shortcuts out. Every scar becomes a map, every lesson a quiet guide. It's empathy, but evolved. Empathy with memory, with analysis, with meaning. But this gift comes with a cost. Constantly filtering pain through understanding can be exhausting. It requires emotional endurance most people don't possess. That's why INFJs retreat often, to process, to recharge, to turn the emotional chaos they absorb into something coherent. Their mind becomes a purification system, converting suffering into clarity. And in that transformation, something remarkable happens. Their pain becomes power, not the loud kind, but the kind that moves through silence. The strength to forgive without forgetting, to love without losing themselves, to see the darkness in people, yet still choose light. Because for the INFJ, every heartbreak is a lesson in disguise. Every tear carries truth. And through that quiet alchemy of empathy and intellect, they don't just survive pain, they translate it into wisdom that helps others find their way out of it too. The moral compass that defies convenience. For the INFJ, morality isn't a social construct. It's a living force that pulses through their every decision. It's not something they follow, it's something they are. While others bend their ethics to fit circumstance, the INFJ's compass points unwaveringly toward what feels right, even when it costs them comfort, approval, or love. They don't choose integrity because it's easy. They choose it because betraying their conscience would fracture something sacred inside them. This moral compass is not rigid or self-righteous. It's deeply human. It listens before judging, it weighs compassion before condemnation. But once the INFJ discerns the moral truth in a situation, no amount of persuasion, manipulation, or reward can make them compromise it. It's what makes them seem stubborn to some and unshakable to others. They're not trying to be difficult, they're simply incapable of living out of alignment with their inner truth. Their sense of right and wrong doesn't come from rules or authority figures. It's born from empathy. They feel morality the way others feel instinct. If an action would hurt someone, even indirectly, their body reacts before their mind can rationalize it. It's why they struggle in environments built on exploitation, deceit, or politics. Their spirit rejects hypocrisy like the body rejects poison. And though this can isolate them, it also defines their quiet strength. They'll walk away from what everyone else applauds if it means staying loyal to their values. This unwavering integrity can make life harder for them. It means standing alone in moments when silence would be easier. It means loving people who don't always deserve it. Not because they're naive, but because they can't unsee the humanity beneath the flaw. But over time, this same compass becomes their anchor. It shields them from guilt, regret, and spiritual exhaustion. It guides them back to peace when the world feels morally unrecognizable. Because while others chase what's convenient, the INFJ seeks what's clean in conscience, in energy, in intention. Their moral compass doesn't point north or south, it points inward to that sacred place where empathy meets truth. And it's there in that quiet alignment that the INFJ finds their rarest power, the ability to stay kind without ever being weak, the paradox of detachment and deep caring. Few things confuse people more than an INFJ's ability to care deeply and still walk away without looking back. To most, love and detachment can't coexist, but for the INFJ, they are two halves of the same truth. They feel everything with extraordinary depth: pain, joy, injustice, hope. Yet they've learned that to keep feeling that much without boundaries would destroy them. So, they love fiercely but protect themselves quietly. They give their heart but not their control. This paradox is born from experience. After years of caring for people who took without giving, explaining to those who never tried to understand, and staying where their soul felt unseen, they discovered a truth that changed everything. You can care without clinging. Their compassion didn't vanish, it just evolved. Now they can hold space for someone suffering without drowning in it, offer help without losing themselves in the rescue. They no longer confuse empathy with obligation. When the INFJ detaches, it's not coldness, it's clarity. It's the moment when they realize their love has become a burden, their giving has become a transaction, or their presence is healing someone who doesn't want to heal. Their detachment is the boundary between compassion and self-betrayal. From the outside, it looks like they've shut off their emotions, but inside, they're simply redirecting them from people who drain them to purposes that fulfill them. And the irony, their detachment often deepens their empathy, because once they stop trying to fix everyone, they begin to understand everyone. They see human behavior for what it is: not evil, just unconscious; not cruel, just wounded. They forgive more easily, not because they've gone numb, but because they finally see clearly. This is the INFJ's quiet superpower: to feel everything without letting it rule them, to love without needing to control, to care enough to let go. It's what makes them both the healer and the mystery, the person who can look at you with eyes full of compassion, even as they step away for good. Because for the INFJ, detachment isn't the absence of love. It's the highest form of it, loving with depth, but without losing the self in the process. How intuition translates emotion into strategy. Inside an INFJ's mind, intuition isn't just a feeling, it's a translator, turning emotion into actionable insight. Where others drown in their feelings or dismiss them entirely, the INFJ listens to emotion like a coded language. A slight discomfort, an unexplained excitement, a sudden silence. These are all signals that their intuition deciphers with uncanny precision. Their subconscious gathers fragments of tone, micro-expressions, body language, and energy, then weaves them together into meaning long before logic can catch up. It's not magic. It's pattern recognition sharpened by empathy. To the INFJ, emotion isn't random, it's intel. When something feels off, it's not paranoia, it's perception. Their emotions act as an internal radar, guiding them toward truth that words often conceal. They know when someone's apology isn't sincere, when an opportunity feels misaligned, or when timing isn't right. Not because of evidence, but because their inner system has already processed the emotional data beneath the surface. This is how they move through life like quiet strategists. They don't rush decisions, they read them. In conversations, they can sense which words open hearts and which walls can't be moved. In conflict, they intuitively know whether to engage or withdraw. Their feelings become maps, guiding them through human behavior, moral tension, and personal growth with near psychic precision. But this intuitive strategy isn't effortless, it's born from emotional labor. The INFJ has spent years decoding what their feelings mean and learning to trust them, because in a world that praises logic, their intuition has often been dismissed as irrational. Yet over time, they realize it's their most accurate compass. Their emotions don't just react to reality, they read it in advance. When the INFJ acts, it's never impulsive. It's premeditated by intuition. Every silence, every boundary, every retreat is rooted in understanding how energy flows and where it doesn't. Their emotion gives them empathy, but their intuition gives them direction. And that's the paradox of their mind. They lead with feeling, but execute with strategy. They see the world emotionally, but they respond intellectually. Because for an INFJ, intuition isn't a soft gift, it's a finely tuned instrument of survival, truth, and transformation. The battle between idealism and realism. Inside every INFJ exists a war between what is and what could be. Their heart is an idealist. It sees potential everywhere, in people, in relationships, in the world itself. It believes that goodness, honesty, and empathy can heal anything if given the chance. But their mind, sharp and seasoned by experience, is a realist. It knows that not everyone wants to change, that truth can be inconvenient, and that some endings must happen for growth to begin. The collision of these two forces, hope and truth, creates the quiet, lifelong conflict that defines the INFJ psyche. Their idealism gives them purpose. It's what makes them inspire, comfort, and believe when others have stopped trying. It fuels their creative vision, their empathy, their ability to see light in the darkest corners of humanity. But realism whispers warnings. Not everyone means well. Not every story can be fixed. The INFJ listens to both voices. They hope, but they plan. They forgive, but they remember. They believe in people's potential, but they no longer confuse potential with consistency. This battle plays out in every decision they make. Should they stay patient or walk away? Should they give another chance or protect their peace? Their idealism says, maybe this time it'll be different. Their realism counters, it's never been different. The result isn't indecision, it's emotional wisdom in progress. They learn to hope with open eyes, to love with boundaries, and to dream without delusion. Over time, this inner conflict refines them. The naive idealist evolves into the grounded visionary, someone who still believes in miracles but understands they require effort and accountability. They no longer seek a perfect world. They create harmony in imperfect ones. Their compassion becomes more selective, their trust more earned, and their optimism more strategic. This balance between idealism and realism is what makes INFJs extraordinary. They don't give up on humanity, they just stop expecting it to be flawless. They stop confusing kindness with self-sacrifice. They stop mistaking hope for blindness. And in doing so, they become something rarer than an idealist or realist alone. They become a bridge between the two, a soul that still dreams, but one that dreams with both feet firmly on the ground. The quiet mastery of integrating opposites. In the hidden universe of an INFJ's mind, contradictions don't compete, they coexist. They are both deeply emotional and profoundly rational, both idealistic dreamers and grounded realists. What others see as inner conflict, the INFJ sees as balance, the art of weaving opposites into harmony. They don't try to erase their dual nature, they master it. That's why they can comfort someone with pure empathy while quietly analyzing the psychology behind their pain, or stand in chaos with a calm that seems almost supernatural. They live at the intersection of logic and soul, where feeling becomes wisdom and thought becomes compassion. This quiet mastery takes years to build. Early in life, INFJs often feel torn between extremes, wanting to trust yet fearing betrayal, craving connection yet needing solitude, believing in good yet sensing darkness. But with time, they stop choosing sides and start creating unity. They realize they can be soft without being fragile, discerning without being cold, detached without being uncaring. That's the moment they understand that strength isn't the absence of feeling, it's the ability to contain it without losing clarity. Their integration of opposites gives them a rare depth. When others break under emotional weight, the INFJ bends and absorbs it, translating feeling into understanding. When others detach to protect themselves, the INFJ detaches consciously, knowing when empathy must pause for self-preservation. This dual awareness, emotional and strategic, allows them to see life from multiple dimensions at once. It's why people often describe them as old souls or mystics. They don't just live in the world, they observe its hidden architecture, feeling its pulse and logic at the same time. And through that balance, the INFJ achieves what few ever do: peace between contradictions. They no longer need to explain their complexity, they embody it. Their empathy fuels their intellect, their logic protects their heart. They've learned that to live fully, one must embrace both light and shadow, softness and steel, chaos and order. This is the quiet mastery of the INFJ mind, the ability to merge what others separate, to find equilibrium where most see contradiction. It's not perfection, it's integration. And that's what makes their inner world not a battlefield, but a masterpiece. The mind of an INFJ isn't a puzzle to be solved. It's a universe to be explored, a place where logic doesn't silence emotion and emotion doesn't overpower reason. It's a rare kind of intelligence, one that feels deeply, thinks critically, and moves through life with quiet precision. While the world rushes to choose sides between heart and mind, the INFJ knows the truth. Both are essential and both can coexist beautifully. If you've ever felt like you live between worlds, too emotional for the logical, too logical for the emotional, you're not broken, you're balanced. You're the bridge between depth and clarity, between understanding and intuition, and that's what makes you extraordinary. If this resonated with you, don't leave without connecting deeper. Subscribe to Brainy One, where we uncover the hidden layers of INFJ psychology and the beauty of complexity. And tell me in the comments, do you feel your logic and emotions work together, or do they still battle for control?